Hi, this is Sean at Fortis Fitness with a quick overview and introduction to our Fortis Leg Press, patent pending, trademarked. So our gym, Fortis Fitness, emphasizes compound movements that efficiently create maximal physical improvement and performance. It's different forms of deadlifts, squats, presses, etc. That's why we have 18 racks and 11 platforms. So one would ask, why would we design a new leg press? Well, we couldn't find what we wanted with typical 45-degree leg press machines or other leg presses on the market. So although never as useful as a free weight movement, we wanted to create a more worthy, useful leg press that will assist with making those great free weight movements stronger, will isolate the legs effectively, and will also allow somebody with an injury to train the legs. So essentially, we just wanted to create a more useful assistance exercise, something a little more worthy. Okay, so with a squat or a deadlift, you're using the floor to create a lever and move a weight. With this machine, we wanted to essentially create the opposite situation, whereby you can adjust to the same angles, but you're literally pushing the floor away. So with any of these free weight compound movements, the bar must invariably travel in a straight line over your center of gravity for the most efficient use of force. With this leg press, we wanted to essentially draw that straight line through your center of gravity and turn it horizontally. So the direction of force and the joint angles are essentially the same as various squats or deadlifts in the hole or during the drive. So here's a simple little drawing that effectively illustrates that point. All we're doing with a squat, straight lines, force vectors over your center of gravity, center of mass. And all we wanted to do with this machine was turn those postural angles and effectively create a leg press where the same posture, the same lines of force are being utilized to more effectively transfer to those free weight movements. Okay, to facilitate what we wanted in replicating the postures for squats, deadlifts, etc., we really had to open up the angle on this thing. So instead of a typical 45 degrees, we brought the resistance plate movement down to approximately 20 degrees, and back pad goes down to a little lower, approximately 15 degrees, almost 10 degrees. Create that open angle so you can replicate those effective postural angles. So this big open angle and the ability to adjust to big open angles will replicate even a front squat, high bar, low bar, various forms of deadlifts in the hole or during the drive. Okay, so because we opened this thing up, when you load it up, you've got it down in the lowest positions, you will slide right off the back pad. So we needed shoulder pads. Because of the shoulder pads, the inclusion of the shoulder pads, now you're loading your spine, much more like an actual squat. Okay, so these are adjustable to the inch. Also really important, we've got this nice space. We worked a while on this to design this. The exact amount of room we wanted to have here, so the sacral part of your lower back, the lowest part of your lower back, fit really comfortably into this space. It's going to go outward, and the lumbar portion of your back is going to curve inward, as it naturally should when you're supporting a weight. So this essentially locks your back into that healthy, safe position. And the shoulder pads prevent you from sliding off the seat. Okay, with a typical 45-degree leg press, it looks something like this. I've got my back against the bench, and I'm literally pushing out this way. This isn't really a similar movement to work, sports, or life, whereas a squat or a deadlift type movement is. So there's much more tendency for the back to go into that rounded flex position, which we definitely don't want. That's unsafe and incorrect. So this design is really, really important to keep your back in tight extension. Some of the leg presses out there on the market actually have a pad that goes on an angle between the seat and the back pad that prevents your back from going into this healthy position. So this pad design, the space, and the shoulder pads help to lock your back and upper body into correct, safe position. So demonstrate this thing really quick. I know it's a leg press. It's kind of obvious how it's used, but really quickly, just so you can see my back locked into this nice tight position. Big breath, just like I'm squatting. And I'm literally, it feels like I'm pushing the floor away. My back is locked in extension. Just how I want it when I'm actually squatting. Okay, some of the features of this machine. We've got a total of 4, 2 per side plate holders, resistance plate holders. 2 per side for a total of 4 storage plate holders. We've got dedicated band hooks for unlimited resistance. This is important. You see a lot of guys put every plate in the bloody gym on these machines. Not so with this thing. You've got plenty of room for resistance plates. Because of the angle, it does make this exercise a lot harder when you lower that back bench down. But also with the band hooks, it makes it virtually infinite in terms of the amount of resistance you can put on this thing. Plus, now there's 3 forms of resistance. Bands alone, plates alone, or a combination of bands and plates. Okay? You've also got on this machine unilateral, bilateral. So we just pull this pin out, put it in, and you've got unilateral, bilateral, depending on whatever you want to work. Very important, even though it's a very heavy machine, use a ton of resistance. We've got stoppers here. Okay, so anybody can use this. Just set these safety stoppers just below the range of motion. Plus, the important thing about these things, you can use them to dictate the range. If you're trying to replicate the range just below or above for a squat or any kind of deadlift. Okay, you can remove the stretch reflex. Continue on. Got a bunch of different handles you can use here. It's these ones to get in and out. I'm using this machine. Got the release handles here, but I can grip here. I can grip down here. I can grip up here. 3 different variations for comfort, limb length, whatever you like. Okay, so this back pad adjusts so we can have it up at about a 45-degree angle, similar to a typical leg press. You can use it that way, there's no problem. You can also lower it all the way down here, which is much more difficult exercise. You can use less resistance, etc., to replicate those great squats or deadlifts. This adjusts to the inch, and the shoulder pads also adjust to the inch. Finally, we've got these really big unilateral or bilateral foot plates, so you can work all different to the leg, up, down, quads, hamstrings, or the hips as well, depending on where you want to put your feet. Okay, another real bonus with this machine. Because it matches the body angles of squats and deadlifts, this thing is great for safe, effective range of motion improvement. So you're keeping your heel against the foot plate. Get this thing moving, squat position. You can take a big breath, exhale, put a light weight on, or just use the carriage weight. Keep that back nice and tight in extension. Great passive resistance work, right? To improve the flexibility for the lower leg muscles or the hip flexors, which often prevent us from getting into the low squat position with our heels on the ground and our back in a nice tight extension. So it's a way to functionally stretch out those problematic muscles that are a little too tight, prevent us from hitting depth with correct posture. So great for passive flexibility work. You can do this on your own and you have instant biofeedback. If I'm lowering this thing and my heels start to come off, right? I know I've gone a little too low, and I can just generally keep improving that. It's passive, the resistance is coming down on me, again, in those correct postural angles. All right, so we created this machine to get a much greater transfer effect to the most useful free weight lifts, and to generally just be a much more useful assistance exercise. That's the Fortis Leg Press, patent pending, trademarked. Thanks for visiting us at Fortis Fitness.